Most notably, back in 2018, President Trump had dubbed him an enemy of the state and a fail with no guts, no sense and no vision. A terrible communicator. What happened? What did Jerome Powell do to deserve such words from then President Trump? Yet, in spite of his work in attempting to keep the American economy stable, he has been ridiculed by politicians and the media. What would you do if you were faced with a major financial crisis? The economies of countries all over the world have suffered downturn after downturn over the last few years, and the coronavirus pandemic has probably been the hardest blow we have faced in recent history. Jerome Powell's job through it all was to ensure that there are enough financial resources to go around and keep the supply stable, not an easy thing to do when you're in charge of the Federal Reserve of one of the most powerful countries in the world. Yet, he seems to have had a great track record so far, helping stabilize the American economy following even the toughest financial crises. After all, as he said, in the long run, and even in the medium run, you wouldn't want to bet against the American economy. His money savvy is even seen in the way that he handles his own finances, as he has a net worth of $55 million, which makes him one of the richest individuals to have ever led the Fed. Welcome back to Business Explained.
Let's get down to business.
Jerome Powell has served in the office of 4 American presidents: Bush, Obama, Trump, and now Biden in matters dealing with the U.S. Treasury. He first served as the Undersecretary of the Treasury for Domestic Finance under the Bush administration from 1992 to 1993, then as a member of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors under the Obama and Trump administrators. He assumed the position of Chair of the Federal Reserve back in 2018 during Trump's presidency, and he is currently serving in the same role under the Biden administration. Powell has received wide acclaim for being a consensus builder and problem solver, rather than an advocate of a strong point of view on monetary matters. This mindset helped him deal with financial issues flexibly, and he has worked closely with Capitol Hill in planning out his moves. His actions have also garnered him bipartisan praise, a feat that is difficult to accomplish considering the divide between liberals and Democrats in the United States. They were particularly supportive of the actions the Fed had taken in early 2020 to address the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Under Powell's leadership, the Fed continued to apply high levels of monetary stimulus to further raise asset prices and support growth. Some analysts and observers noted that there was a disconnect between asset prices and the economy. Powell then responded by arguing that supporting the Fed's dual mandate of stable prices and full employment outweighed concern over high asset prices and inequality. According to Time, Powell's actions and decision-making had changed the Fed forever, bringing up its concerns that it was highly likely that he had conditioned Wall Street to unsustainable levels of monetary stimulus to artificially support high asset prices. However, politicians praised his actions. Then President Trump, who had initially thought of him as a dud, called him the most improved player in his administration in August 2020, while Janet Yellen, United States Secretary of the Treasury, praised his very thoughtful and methodical approach. After all, when facing a problem, Powell studied the facts of the matter and acted accordingly. This was what made him an effective leader and what has aided him throughout his years in office. Powell was born Jerome Hayden Powell on February 4, 1953, in Washington, D.C., as one of 6 children to Patricia and Jerome Powell, a lawyer in private practice. He attended the Georgetown Preparatory School in 1972, which was a Jesuit university school. He then went on to study at Princeton University, graduating in 1975 with a Bachelor of Arts in Politics. Prior to his enrollment to law school, he served as a legislative assistant to Pennsylvania Senator Richard Schweiker to gain some first-hand experience in what it was like to work in a government office. He then went on to enroll at the Georgetown University Law Center, and he was able to secure his Juris Doctor degree in 1979. After graduating from Georgetown, Powell moved to New York City and became a clerk to Judge Ellsworth Van Graafeland of the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. From 1981 to 1983, Powell worked as a lawyer with Davis Polk and Wardwell, and from 1983 to 1984, he worked at the firm of Werbel and Macmillan. From there, he moved on into the finance world by working at the investment bank Dillon Read & Co., an investment bank where he concentrated on financing, merchant banking, and mergers and acquisitions. Eventually, he became the bank's vice president. With his combined experience in politics, law, and finance, he began to work his way into the United States Department of Treasury. Powell became the Undersecretary of the Treasury for Domestic Finance in 1992 after being nominated by Bush, and during his time there, Powell oversaw the investigation and sanctioning of the Salomon brothers after one of its traders submitted false bids for United States Treasury security. In 1993, Powell began working as a managing director for Bankers Trust, but he quit in 1995 after the bank got into trouble when several customers suffered large losses due to derivatives. He then went back to work for Dillon Read & Co. Powell he served a stint at the Carlyle Group. He was a partner at Carlyle from 1997 through 2005, then he founded Seven Capital Partners, a private investment firm focused on specialty finance and opportunistic investments in the industrial sector, and he branched out to partner at a firm that specialized in sustainable energy. According to Fox, Powell was able to earn most of his money during his time at these investment firms as they were in charge of handling and managing assets worth millions of dollars. In 2011, his expertise and work earned him the attention of then-President Barack Obama, who nominated him to the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. This was a historic moment for U.S. politics because Powell's nomination was the first time that a president had nominated a member of the opposition party for such a position in decades. Naturally, as Powell's rank rose, he stood to earn more annually. However, as mentioned before, Powell's work had also earned him the cold shoulder of then-President Donald Trump. The president's main issue was that he was allergic to any increase in interest rates. The Fed, under Powell's leadership, had in 2018 increased interest rates by 4 times to prevent the economy from overheating. Trump then later said that he regretted nominating Powell, saying, "Here's a guy that nobody has ever heard of him before. And now, I made him and he wants to show how tough he is. He's not doing a good job," even going so far as to label him an enemy by August of 2019. However, if Powell had not taken the steps that he did, the US economy would probably be in a worse position following the coronavirus pandemic. In spite of Powell's lucrative jobs in the world of finance, he has chosen to dedicate his career to serving his country. This time, under his leadership, Powell has found a way to serve the country decisively and magnanimously throughout what has been the hardest-hitting financial crisis in recent history. Powell is unapologetic about the Fed's massive efforts to rescue the economy and says it stands ready with more. As Powell said, "We are not out of ammunition." However, although he has committed to working for the government full-time, he still gets a pretty big paycheck every year. The federal chairman earns an annual salary of $203,500 as opposed to other governors who earn $183,000 per year. Going forward, Powell is talking about getting back to a strong labor market. He discusses that moving forward, his goal is to obtain maximum employment. In a speech this February, Powell said, "Given the number of people who have lost their jobs and the likelihood that some will struggle to find work in the post-pandemic economy, achieving and sustaining maximum employment will require more than supportive monetary policy. It will require a society-wide commitment, with contributions from across government and the private sector. The potential benefits of investing in our nation's workforce are immense. Steady employment provides more than a regular paycheck. It also bestows a sense of purpose, improves mental health, increases lifespans, and benefits workers and their families." Powell states, "I am confident that with our collective efforts across the government and the private sector, our nation will make sustained progress toward our national goal of maximum employment." Earlier in 2021, the world of stocks was put in a frenzy. It was known as the GameStop short sell, and if anything, the whole debacle just proved the power of collective action. Many major players were right in the thick of the action, but one financial service company stood out among the rest, and its name is Robinhood. Robinhood rose to success through its trading app where people could get commission-free trades of stocks and exchange-traded funds. It reached a $1.3 billion valuation in 2017, and by 2021, Robinhood is now valued at a whopping $20 billion. So, who is behind this massive investment platform? It is none other than Vlad Tenev, one of the richest Bulgarian Americans with a net worth of over $1 billion. You can check it out in the video up on your screen now, so click away, sit back, rela, and see you in the next video.